Hello and welcome. Here are some interesting facts about erosion today. Let's go ahead and jump right on in. So, to start off, what is erosion? Well, erosion is when land is worn away by weather like rain, wind, ice, and many others. This can, over a long period of time, sometimes short periods of time, reshape land features, creating new ones. For example, the Finger Lakes were shaped over a long period of time by the last ice age 10,000 years ago. One of the most common ways erosion happens is by water. Some of the ways water erodes land is by rainfall when it hits the surface of the earth. It's called splash erosion. So, if you were to think about this in a simple way, imagine you have a bucket of sand and an eyedropper, and you start dripping water on the sand over time. It will reshape the sand, making a small divot into the sand. The second way rainfall affects the land, and we see this all over the world, is when there is a massive amount of rainfall and the land can no longer absorb it. It starts pulling up and flowing like a small stream or bigger, carrying away sediment, stripping the land, and possibly, depending on where you live, creating mudslides. Another way water can shape land is by rivers and floods, which ties into rainfall. For us up north, if we have a heavy winter, the snow melts running off into rivers that can lead to floods. And with rivers overflowing with water, this can strip away the riverbanks, damaging any structures that are along with it. For example, man-made structures like bridges and homes. And then there is the factor of time. So over time, with flooding and the rivers constantly flowing over the same spot, cuts into the land, making the rivers deeper and deeper, like the Grand Canyon, for example, which was formed by the Colorado River, which took 5 to 6 million years. So just imagine a river close to you, and possibly one day it will be as deep as the Grand Canyon. The last way water erosion can happen is by the waves from oceans and seas. As the waves keep crashing over the coastline, it hits, smashes into the rock and sandy beaches, eating away at it until finally the land breaks away, falling into the ocean. For example, we have Hull Sands. That was a coastal fishing village south of Devon that was home to 160 people. But by 1917, only one house was left due to the erosion of the coastline. So, another way erosion can take place is by the wind. Yes, wind, especially in dry areas like the deserts, can create erosion by picking up and carrying loose particles like sand or dry soil that is not tied down by plants and blowing it away. An example of wind eroding land would be the Yardong, a rock formation in China. And another good example that played a big role in the way we farm today is the Dust Bowl. There were many factors that caused the Dust Bowl. In 1920, poor agriculture, extended drought, high temperature, but with these three added together with high wind, caused wind erosion, which stripped the topsoil even further, creating giant dust storms, blowing all that away and the nutrients that were there for the plants. And for the Yardong, it was shaped by sandstorms over time. So as the wind picked up the sand and hit the stone, smoothing it and breaking parts away, shaping the Yardong as it is, and many other stone features that you can find in deserts today and continue to be shaped into new features. Erosion can take place by glaciers as well. Back at the beginning of the video, I had given an example, which was the Finger Lakes. They were created by glaciers 10,000 years ago as they receded. How this takes place is by the weight of the glacier and its gradual movement can drastically make new land features like valleys over hundreds and even thousands of years. It's kind of like when you draw in the sand with a stick or your finger, you apply your weight and slowly drag your finger across, creating a small little valley where you had applied the pressure and movement. It's the same way glaciers do it, just on a longer time scale and size. There are a couple of more ways erosion takes place, like temperature, as it can cause the stone to crack due to fluctuations in temperatures, along with gravity, as it pulls rocks and other particles down the side of mountains or cliffs, like landslides. But another big one would be living organisms, like ourselves, insects, and small animals. Small animals and insects do this by breaking up the soil, making it easier for wind and water to carry it away. But I would say, out of all living organisms, we have in the past and still do create the most erosion in the biggest ways through farming, ranching, cutting down forests, as well as building roads, cities, and mining, and many more ways, I am sure. So overall, we have caused about 1 million acres of topsoil to erode each year when proper techniques are not used to protect the topsoil from wind, water, and glaciers. All you have to do is go back in time and look how land owners and companies made bad decisions, causing $400 billion worth of damage due to erosion per year worldwide. Now is the question, how have we improved with erosion over time? Is by planting trees around farmland to protect it from the wind, which would strip the topsoil, along with herds moving field to field to graze instead of overgrazing, also exposing the topsoil from wind and rain. And then there's replanting trees we have cut down, because trees and even grass holds the soil together like a thread. If there's nothing to hold the topsoil there, it will just blow away and washes away in mudslides. And we continue to learn and implement new ways to protect against the erosion we have caused. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will leave links down below along with references, and don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to get more facts. Hope to see you again.